The gun market just handed you a gift and most people have absolutely no idea it's sitting there. A couple of years ago you couldn't find a decent rifle without paying panic buying prices or waiting 6 months on backorder lists. This video isn't for you. This is for the guy who missed out during the frenzy and is finally ready to fill a gap in the safe at a price that doesn't hurt. Let's get into it. Number 10, the Ruger AR-556. It was the first AR for a generation of shooters. Hammer-forged barrel. Ruger's legendary reliability backed by customer service that actually picks up the phone. During the panic years these were selling used for $800 to $900, sometimes more. Dealers could not keep them in stock. Today you will find them used all day long for $500 to $550. Sometimes less if the previous owner threw on a cheap optic and the dealer just wants to move the package. Here is why the price dropped. Modern buyers want free-float handguards and mid-length gas systems as standard. Newer budget AR builds from companies like Palmetto State Armory are delivering exactly that for similar money. The fixed front sight base on the AR-556 looks dated next to them. So buyers moved on. But here is what those buyers are ignoring. Number 9, the Savage Axis II. The original Axis had a reputation problem. Gritty trigger, flimsy stock, rough bolt lift. Shooters tolerated it because the barrel accuracy was genuinely impressive for the price, but everything surrounding that barrel felt like an afterthought. The Generation 2 fixed almost all of it. The AccuTrigger is a legitimate upgrade that most rifles at twice the price cannot match. The bolt is smoother. The detachable box magazine makes field reloading actually practical. And right now new Generation 2s are sitting on dealer shelves for $300 to $350. Used examples in good shape are going for $220 to $260 at pawn shops, sometimes with a scope already mounted. That AccuTrigger at this price point is almost unfair. I have pulled triggers on custom rifles that could not match the clean break on a well-adjusted Axis II. Number 8, the Mossberg Patriot. Mossberg is a pump shotgun company that also makes bolt-action rifles and the market knows it. That reputation gap has always held the Patriot back even though the rifle itself is genuinely capable. Fluted bolt, decent trigger out of the box, threaded barrel on most models, and it will absolutely drop deer. Used prices have bottomed out around $280 to $320 on common calibers. Dealers are practically giving them away on trade-ins because they would rather stock Ruger Americans and Savage rifles that move faster. Here is the honest prepper take on this one. The Patriot in 350 Legend or 300 Winchester Magnum gives you a long-range capable rifle at a price point that leaves serious money left over for glass and ammunition. Number 7, the Springfield Armory Saint. When the Saint launched, Springfield was charging full premium AR money for it and getting it. It had MLOK handguards, a mid-length gas system, and that forward assist that purists love to argue about. It was a genuinely modern AR at launch. But then the budget AR market got brutally competitive and buyers started comparison shopping harder. Springfield's price stayed high while the competition got better and cheaper. Now that the panic buying has cleared out, the used market for Saints is interesting. You're finding them between $550 and $600 used, occasionally less when someone bought one during peak panic pricing and just wants out. The mid-length gas system on the Saint is genuinely softer shooting than carbine-length competitors at this price. Number 6, the Kel-Tec Sub-2000 Gen 2. I know it's a pistol caliber carbine, not a traditional rifle, but hear me out because the value case here is hard to ignore. The Generation 3 update Kel-Tec released killed the resale value of Generation 2 models overnight. The new folding mechanism on the Gen 3 lets you keep an optic mounted without losing zero every time you fold it. For anyone running glass on a Sub-2000, that was the reason to upgrade, and they did in large numbers. Generation 2 models are now sitting at $400 to $450 used, and they're not moving fast, which means you can negotiate. Here is the prepper angle that nobody talks about. If you're already carrying a 9mm pistol, the Sub-2000 runs the same magazines. Glock magazines and Smith & Wesson magazines depending on which version you buy. One ammunition supply, one magazine ecosystem, two platforms. That kind of logistic simplicity is genuinely valuable when resupply isn't guaranteed. Number 5, the Ruger American Ranch Rifle. This one is the quiet overachiever of the list. The Ruger American Ranch Chambered in .300 Blackout or 5.56 is a short, handy, accurate bolt action that takes AR-15 magazines. Let that sink in for a second. You get bolt action reliability and access to the entire AR magazine ecosystem in a platform that weighs 5.5 pounds with a 16-inch barrel. During the panic, these were retailing above their MSRP without hesitation. Right now, used examples are landing between $420 to $480. New ones are frequently on sale at major retailers for $500 to $550. The prepper case for this rifle is almost too obvious. 5.56 is the most available centerfire rifle ammunition in America. AR magazines are everywhere. But a bolt action has essentially no mechanical parts to fail compared to a semi-automatic. Number 4, the Marlin 1894C in .357 Magnum. Here is where things get interesting for lever gun people. When Remington owned Marlin between 2007 and approximately 2019, quality control was inconsistent. Some rifles came out perfect. Others had rough machining, feeding issues, and misaligned sights. Collectors and serious shooters learned to check serial numbers and inspect every example individually. The stigma from those years stuck even after Ruger bought the brand and fixed everything. That stigma is now creating a real opportunity. Remington-era Marlin 1894C rifles in .357 Magnum are sitting in pawn shops and on used racks for $650 to $750, sometimes less. And here is what most buyers do not realize. A significant number of those so-called Remlins are actually perfectly fine rifles. The bad ones were returned, complained about online, and fixed under warranty. The ones quietly sitting on used racks often went back to shooters who ran them without issues and then upgraded for other reasons. Number 3, the CZ Scorpion Evo 3. The CZ Scorpion community went through a rough period. Reports of bolt peening issues in early production models spooked buyers who had been perfectly happy with their rifles up to that point. CZ addressed the problem. The fix exists. Aftermarket bolts solved it entirely. But the fear stuck in the market's memory and used prices reflected it hard. First and second generation Scorpions are now moving between $700 to $900 used, down from over $1,200 during peak demand. And here is what nervous sellers are leaving on the table. A fixed bolt Scorpion with a quality aftermarket component is a 9mm carbine with one of the most developed aftermarket ecosystems outside the AR platform. Furniture, triggers, optics, mounts, suppressors, everything is available and well documented. For experienced shooters who know how to vet a used gun and are not scared off by a fixable mechanical history, this is one of the most lopsided values in the current market. The key is simple. Number 2, the Ruger Precision Rifle in .6.5 Creedmoor. 2 years ago, finding a used Ruger Precision Rifle under $1,000 was a small miracle. Demand was high, supply was tight, and the platform had developed a cult following in the long-range community that kept prices firm. Right now, used examples in .6.5 Creedmoor are appearing regularly between $850 and $1,000. Some come with bipods and rings already attached. The reason is straightforward. The long-range market got more competitive. Savage, Bergara, and Tikka started offering serious precision platforms at similar or lower price points, and buyers had options. Ruger responded by running more frequent sales on new production. All of that pushed used prices down, but the Ruger Precision Rifle's fundamentals have not changed. Folding chassis, adjustable everything, a cold hammer-forged barrel, and a trigger that was genuinely ahead of its class when it launched. 6.5 Creedmoor from a 24-inch barrel reaches distances that make most shooting problems irrelevant. Number 1, the Marlin 1895 in .45 to .70 Government. Everything I said about the Remlin 1894 applies here, but the .45 to .70 version is where the value case becomes almost absurd. At peak demand in 2022, used Remlin 1895s were selling for $1,300, sometimes $1,400. People paid it because lever gun supply was tight and .45 to .70 was having a cultural moment. Then Ruger's new production Marlins started hitting shelves with dramatically better build quality, and the bottom fell out from under the used Remlin market. Why pay close to new money for a question mark when a guaranteed rifle is sitting next to it? Used Remlin 1895s are now landing between $1,000 to $1,200. And the same logic applies here as with the 1894. A significant portion of these rifles are perfectly fine. The bad ones made a lot of noise online. The quiet ones ran without problems and got traded in by people who wanted a Ruger-era model for bragging rights. The 45-70 government cartridge is in a class of its own for certain applications. Dense brush, close quarters, and bear country.